proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Crunching Gears, the rally podcast. That time of the week again, and I have two co-hosts this week. Conor Edwards, you're welcome as always, and Luke Barry, you're very welcome back.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I'm not going to spoil who's coming up yet, but it's a very, very eclectic list of names. So I was just saying to the boys before we started recording, I don't know why on earth I'm here. This isn't right. It's like they pull out all the stops and you get somebody average on to join you. It's pure effort, lads, but I'm happy to be here.
Look, you're here because we want to know the difference between standing on the Jim Clark Rally in the rain and standing on the Ulster Rally in the rain.
What's the difference between our rain and your rain? But as Luke alluded to there, we have another jam-packed show. We have Tarmac champion Callum Devine. We have RC4 champion Shane Quinn. Kyle White then, who scored maximum points and in a good position in the JBRC. Then we have Patrick Croke, tells us all about some very exciting news coming up there. And then from the ERC, we have the ERC champion Hayden Paddon, and then our own Aoife Raftery and Ronan Comerford. But I think we'll start off, we kind of hinted at it already, the Ulster Rally. And it, 10 stages, but it seemed like more because the conditions, there was everything there. Conor, maybe you want to start there?
Absolutely. Listen, there was everything. We had the excitement of Adrian Formo, that, and then the culmination of the Irish Tarmac Championship. So it was Callum, Josh, and Marion in the mix for that. And then we had everything that the weather could throw at us. It was talk about mixed, tricky conditions. Oh, it was shocking. And as mentioned there, Luke got to experience spectating on the Ulster Rally.
Yeah, look, you come over. It wasn't even work related or nothing. This was you and your brother getting away. I don't know why you come here to get wet, but did you enjoy it?
Yeah, you get wet in Scotland. It's different in Ireland, but it turns out it's not rain is rain, no matter where you go in the world. Yeah. But yeah, it was actually genuine, and it sounds really spoilt saying this, but actually really nice to come to an event and not have to work. And it is great, and it's mad that my job does revolve me talking about rally cars and stuff, but just to sort of strip it all back and just remind yourself why it's so, because spectating isn't something I really get to do anymore, really, and with the job I do. So it was quite fun standing in the hedges. And who would I find in the first stage but a certain Mr. Conor Edwards, who came and joined us as well. So that was a good surprise. But yeah, the weather was, shall we say, challenging. I'm sure it was very difficult for the drivers inside the car, but I looked at them all and I thought, do you know what, lads, at least you're dry in there. We were yeah, it was very difficult. And I have to say as well, shout out to all the marshals and officials that drove that, not just for one pass but two. I'll be honest, we bailed after one pass, that was enough. The second pass, it wasn't worth it, but they all had to stay out there in honestly just dreadful conditions. It just did not stop raining. Which I guess is part of the Ulster. I have been once before in 2018. I'm pretty sure for most of that one it was wet as well, particularly on the first day. So maybe a Friday curse for me in Ulster rallies. Yeah, it was great to be out there and seeing, as you say, Adrian Fomo coming over there. I love it when we see, and in fairness, we've seen it in the British Championship this year. I love it when we have a proper, genuine international works rally driver in a national event, and you get to see where they stack up. It just lifts the buzz a little bit more. I guess in a way it's a shame that the championship situation was where it was, in that I think Callum, he didn't really need to push very hard. The rest of them, obviously Mary ended up going out quite early. Josh wasn't quite at his best. So we didn't necessarily get the true sort of judgment of where Adrian is compared to the top Irish pace, which would have been great to see. But I'm sure at some point in the future we'll have something similar.
For sure. Like Callum, knocked in a couple of fastest times on Friday evening, got the lead down to 7 seconds or something. But come Saturday morning, it was get the sensible head on again. We need to drive the championship in mind. I spoke to him earlier. It's coming back that wee fraction. If rally drivers that goes against their grain, and it just must be like alien to them to do it like that. There, like they want to go flat out, they want to go fast, and like for Mo had the shackles off, he was there to get point for the BRC, but it was more of a short window for M Sport, and he was given the go ahead to go for it. Look, maybe take it up on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because you're right. We none of us are rally drivers. We can't sit here and say we know what that feels like. But to me, it sort of baffles me when they can talk about measuring it off and how precise they can be, because natural instinct to everybody else is, well, surely the pace you got when you watch them at 95%, that's like 1,000% more than any of us think is possible anyway. But that's somehow in reserve. But it's just taking that last little bit of risk, isn't it? But yeah, for FOMO, I think in a weird way, it's almost like neither of them, they both kind of what Adrian and Callum this is, they both wanted to fight each other but knew they probably shouldn't. They both had wider aims at stake. FOMO needed maximum points in the championship because he's going to miss a few rounds, so that strengthens his hand. M Sport also wanted to prove the car over here, which they've been doing all throughout Britain. But as we know, the Fiesta is not the most popular car in Ireland anymore. So I think it was a very important event for them, as you said, Kevin, to showcase what the car's got. So he knew he couldn't bin it because that's no use for anybody. But he couldn't go too or back off too much, and then the car doesn't look competitive. So that must have been a sort of strange psyche for him as well. But for Callum, yeah, I think, and I forget probably the impact of Marion going out on the first or the second stage as well. It sort of made the job even simpler for him. He knew that he didn't, obviously he ended up being the top scorer anyway, but that he could do a lot less than that and still get away with it. So as tempting as it must have been to try and fight FOMO and see what he's got, he knew and he's sensible enough to know that that wasn't going to gain him anything. What he needed was that championship title, which I think it's fair to say, given the form he's had, particularly sort of after the first couple of rounds, he's been unstoppable, hasn't he? So I think it's very well deserved.
For sure, for sure. And like Conor, like even for the likes of Catherine McCourt, Desi Henry, these guys to get their chance to shine against Formo, like the memes going round now with Catherine, like Adrian Hu, like it is hilarious, and it's just the buzz that them guys were getting out of following in Formo's wheel tracks and getting to compare themselves against the best.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, Catherine's now our thug life star. Just typical Irish, bit of crack at the end of the stage. It was good to hear from him. Look, it's just amazing, to get the opportunities, and they don't come that often to benchmark and see what the other guy's doing. And again, the one thing I think about when I think back to the Ulster Rally is Callum making the remark that he was giggling to himself when he saw the cuts that Formo was taking. We don't do big cuts here. It's not in the psyche for Irish Rally. And so when we do get the stars, yeah, it's a bit mental to see how they perform, what they do differently. And you could only imagine then if our local competitors started following suit, they could certainly be shaving more seconds off the stages.
But I think probably the Ulster stages tend to lend themselves more to cuts where, the likes of Donegal or Killarney, it's more coastal, where it's nearly, if you go off the racing line, there's big rocks there, where the Ulster is kind of more open farmland and maybe it lends itself, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but look, when you see the race that Catherine and Johnny Greer had on the Saturday evening, like for third place, all of a sudden they're all become alive again, and they almost caught Callum as well at the finish up.
I know, I was looking at the times, and obviously Callum took the wet tyres, didn't he, for the last lap, and a complete sort of safety bid, which obviously, I say it backfired, he got the job done, didn't he, so it didn't matter, but you're right, I was looking at the times and I was like, this is getting quite close, isn't it? They were going flat out, but I have to say, actually, I think Johnny Greer in general is probably underrated by a lot of people. I think the pace he's got is mental, always has been, but particularly in the last couple of years in that Citroen, everything seems very, very well sorted now. He's obviously got another Northern Irish title this year as well, and I think for me that he was potentially one of the drivers of the rally here. I think, Cahan, you're right. I think that particularly that stage one performance, and kudos to Seb Scott at M Sport for putting that together, recognising it, because I think it's done good numbers for them on social, and obviously it's great to see that Ireland is appreciated by the world teams as well. But yeah, I think it was a great battle, and it was one of those that, I'll be honest, my knowledge of where everything was is maybe less than if it was when I was at home. I'd be sat home watching on the pace, not every stage. You can't always do when you're there. But as you say, Johnny for me, guy, and I think Ryan Loughlin's having a great run as well. So there's a lot of these boys that were all really at it. And I think it's just great to see. There's such strength and depth in Ireland at the minute.
For sure. And like another guy put into that mix, Conor, Jason Mitchell. Jason was very, downhearted there at the start of the year, but he's turned the season round. Matching it with the guys. That kind of 4th, 5th place, and I think he came away with 5th at the finish up, and then taking the car off the rump basically and getting it into gravel spec and down the road to do the Cork Forestry the next day. Like, that's serious commitment from a privateer.
Listen, phenomenal commitment. You're right. Look, beginning of the year didn't start off the best for him, but he really has pulled that round. But even to set the times he was setting, knowing that he was going to be competing the next day and needed to keep the car, in full condition to do that. Like, again, he left it all out there pretty much on the stages.
That's for sure. That is for sure. But I think enough of us talking for now. Anyway, we'll hear from Callum Devine to start with. Callum Devine, 2023 Tarmac champion. It's a few days later now, but I would say it still has a nice ring to it.
Hi, Kevin. Nice ring to it. So it is. Definitely is. It's probably just hasn't sunk in just yet, but no, that's pretty special to get that one now, to be honest.
Yeah, because at the start of the year, it's probably fair to say, in Galway, you weren't where you wanted to be, and the head going down a bit. But the way you picked yourself up, and yourself and Noel as well too, you've turned the whole season around, and it's been so good. Like, I think from the circuit onwards, it's been almost a dream season.
Yeah, but as you said, it has, and Galway and West Cork, we really did struggle. A couple of things probably, and it just wasn't clicking for us. It was obviously bits of setup and bits and pieces, and obviously then rally's been so wet it really hampered us and stuff. But yeah, look, we thought we were pushing hard to get, just shows the pace the guys were going at the start of the year, and then I kind of, once we got them 2 events done, we kind of realised these would actually have to be our drop scores in the championship, going by what like Josh did the year before. And look, we needed to make something more when it come to the circuit. And thankfully we got to the bottom, some wee things, and hey, it all started to click then, and we pushed on, as you say. It turned into a bit of a dream season then after that.
Yeah, and you've never made any bones about the fact that Donegal is the one, that's the pinnacle for you. That's the one that you want the trophy on your mantelpiece. And, to get that, we've seen how much it meant to you, with Killian and on the On the Limit guys and all the way they covered it. Like, it was surreal, the outpouring of emotion, and it just seemed to hit you in like a tidal wave at the end of Fala there on Sunday evening.
It did a bit unexpected on my own stuff. Thankfully there at the end of Ulster now, I definitely didn't turn into that outbreak, so I did thankfully. But no, as I say, Donegal's the one. I've been going there since I was away in, and it's the one everybody wants. It's the jewel of Irish rallying, and probably it was a bit to do with the year before. We led the rally from start till the Sunday morning, purely our own air on the braking and stuff, and we busted the radar, we hit the bale, and that was it, game over. And look, we came back this year again, and we knew it wasn't easy to get in that position. So it's not the matter just clicking and turning up again. So, like, some Matt and all was back, and Josh was reared up for it and everything again. So, look, it turned into a real good battle again, and thankfully we got to the end of that. And it was just obviously with a lot of things going, like the rain started to come and stuff. It was making things that wee hard, but and Fanad, hey, it was just it's just, as you say, it's a bit of a dream come true for me, to be honest. And probably lifted a bit of pressure off my shoulders too, probably, that I put on myself, probably. But no, it was definitely a big one there.
That's for sure. And then going into the Ulster, you had the championship in your hands, but a slip or a spin or a puncture could have robbed you of it. Like, do you change your mindset going into an event like that? Do you think I need to drive down the middle of the road here. I need to keep this ship on an even keel, or is it still? I want to push and see where I'm at.
Yeah, I was. Look, I knew obviously that it wasn't going to be an all-out push. I know a lot of hype was obviously with Adrian coming over from the British Championship. It would have been great to obviously race him and stuff, but I knew going there at the start that we're in a completely different battle here this weekend, and obviously the likes the classic Ulster stages. They're not simple stages. They're usually plenty of places to catch you out, and sure. It turned out that way. There was torrential rain on Friday night, what was probably would have stopped any stage and most of the rallies in the country. But hey, it went on, and yeah, we had to just get the head down and try and just manage to get through it. So there were so many places we could catch you out. So no, our aim was trying to get through it and just watch everything. And to be honest, it wasn't very enjoyable rally for me, in some ways because. Um, it's just not the way I like to drive. Obviously, it hasn't been the way I've been driving all year. Like obviously, once we got to the circuit, we knew you had to push, and everything had to be pushing. The battles have always been so tight. But like it also was just a different frame of mind, and yeah, it was weird because your head's just not really in the okay, go for it mode. It's more like I'll walk around this corner, just watch, just break that wee bit earlier, just go on this softest option of the tires, like we right down to the final end. We went in full wets on the last loop and everything. Just nearly overthinking things that much. We've been safe, and we really like it was bone dry, and we really nearly got popped by Johnny in the end. But look, we were not really. We let them at it. Like we just kept the head down, and that was it. Like and. Yeah, it was.
I remember like listening to Josh last year and him saying it was probably the hardest, most unenjoyable rally he'd ever driven in the Ulster because it had to kind of he went round and got his fourth place finish, and like for it's the same as yourself. It's that natural aggression. You want to drive hard. You want to be finding that last tenth to try and pull back from that. It's almost unnatural.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it's so when you're racing there in the sharp end, you get yourself into a bit of a battle there. Kind of all them other wee things that's going on in your head there, or thinking you have to get round, kind of just disappears. Do you know what I mean? And you're led at something you really want to do anyway. So yeah, it's not that enjoyable for us, and I kind of knew it wasn't going to be a simple rally for us because Josh was pretty much in the exact same situation last year, and like. Yeah, it came to Josh was just about barely fourth there and ended up, I think he was. And
I dropped back didn't
like,
he, in the finish. I even he fell behind Jason Mitchell in the last stage too. So yeah. So.
exactly, and it just shows how tricky the conditions is. Like, because it's just not a rally. Like, you can't really be thinking because when you are thinking about all them things, there's so many areas you can catch out on, like the classics, like. Or on the south, there's so much high grip, like from Killarney and Donegal, the terrain's a lot more high grip. So when it does get wet, it's a bit more understanding sort of way. But yeah, look, it's we were happy to get through it. Now it wasn't the most enjoyable one for the racing part, but it was definitely nice to get to the end of it.
Yeah, and like yourself and Adrian Fermo, there seemed to be like a great bond between you. Like there was always a bit of banter there, standing about. You could always look and see either your head was in his car or his head was in your car. Like I suppose, like he's a rally driver. He's the same as the rest of you. At the end of it all, he wants to come and be challenged and pushed as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, Adrian was coming there for a race, like, and as fun I was chatting to him throughout the stages, and yeah, on Friday night, I think we started to get two stage times back on, and we were fastest on the night stage in the wet. And to be honest, probably just clicked for us at night time, and probably when it was dark, we probably weren't. We probably couldn't see all the dangers ahead, probably, and we just got onto a nice rhythm. Hey, we really did like that stage. We knew from Recce, we really liked that stage. So no, it really clicked, and he was kind of saying, "Well, that was a really good stage time," and he was kind of looking forward to a bit of battle then. But as we kind of had to put him clear, there will not be no battle for him in the morning. You want to rip you on ahead, So no, it was good crack, like, and as they say, he was there to race, and as he says, his plan was probably this year was to sell cars for M Sport, and that's what it is, to try and put the results in, and hey, outside of Ulster, he's doing a pretty good job at the world stage, I think. So, a fair top class driver now, and yeah, maybe another day we might get a chance to race him when we're actually can go head to head sort of thing rather than thinking about that. But No, he's a lovely fella. Nice guy.
And in a few years' time, I have no doubt we'll be looking back, going, remember the Ulster Rally, and the world champion come over here and you had a race against him, kind of thing. I do believe that guy has the talent to go all the way.
Yeah, no, he does. I think so. Hey, and as we were saying to him, I says, look, he's pretty much proved him. He's put himself well in the ballpark anyway against all other Rally 2 competitors in the World Championship. Hey, and he's definitely doing the business outside of that. So no, fair play to him. Hey, and he puts a lot of effort in there. Obviously, the scene there.
For sure. And the Tarmac Championship tied up, a big weight off your shoulders now. There's always a job to finish in the national round. There's 2 rounds to go. More of the same there, back to the heart rather than the head.
Yeah, I think this will be. It's been like this all year. It's been like this all year. Like I know we won a couple right few rallies there at the minute, and it probably looks that they've been easy enough, but they have not been one but easy. It's been tight battles. Cork's been tight battles, and like Sumerian and there, like Daisy Henry just popped up in the AMC there. It was flying right to the end, and everybody's capable of putting on big results, and yeah, I've no doubt that's going to start all over again now when we go to Clare, because we're at that point of the championship now where Josh and me are I think Josh just a wee bit in front there, and I think the way it works is if Josh wins the next one and wins Power Stage, he's probably won the championship. And with me, I kind of need to win the next 2, so it's kind of. Yeah, it's just going to be flat out. It's going to be flat out. There's no doubt about it. It's been like that all year, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's what you want, isn't it? You want to be going as hard as you can, because, as you say, you didn't enjoy the Ulster because of having to dial it back. So to get into the rally car and know that I need to win this rally, I need to be fastest on the last stage, it keeps you at maximum attack.
It does, and it keeps the head clear, and hey, it keeps us improving ourselves too in another way as well. Like, when we're all racing for tenths and seconds all the time, we're looking for wee bits to improve all the time. So it keeps your mind thinking forward, obviously, rather than trying to preserve it all the time as well. So it's it's the best way and most enjoyable way anyway.
So thanks to the Tarmac champion there of 2023. Also, as part of that, the Ulster Rally, the BRC. Not the championship it was, but look, I don't know. For Mo was the class act. Gary Pearson, come in, on a strong rally at the weekend. And, but unfortunately then, the rest was made up by Rally 4 competitors. There's no point in oscillating the BRC. They know their issues. It has the ingredients. It has fantastic events. I think it's on its way. It will have to come, be on its way back.
Yeah, I think it is a very sad situation, and I think, as you say, everybody knows that. Nobody's hiding their heads in the sand and is unaware of the situation. I guess the only thing that I wonder, and it's hard to know this, isn't it? Like the impact of FOMO in there, because it's great in terms of the level he has the championship at, the pace it's there, and the pace in the BRC is incredibly high anyway. So for that to be being increased is seriously impressive, and for them to have an international driver is a massive coup. But part of me wonders, if he wasn't there, would there actually be more people that are likely to join in? Because these guys, you don't rally in a championship like that in a Rally 2 car unless you want to win. Realistically, that's whether you're doing it this year or you're trying to build up to that in the future. That is the goal. So I guess the guys that are trying to build up to it or have the money to do it, maybe like Gary Pearson there and there at the minute, learning from it and doing what they can. Guys like Keith Cronin, I know he's a busy man, but equally, if he had a chance at the championship, or stronger chance than he did, would he find a way to be competing? Probably. So it's all these things. I think in general, there's the thing I would say, and I'll be careful how much I say, but what does frustrate me sometimes with the British Championship is people are very quick to turn on it and get on the backs of it, but then don't have a constructive solution. To me, this is a general British rallying thing. If we want to save the BRC, we need to work together to do that. And I think the organisers know that. I think there are, as far as I'm aware, I don't know what's being changed, but I think there are plans to look and revise things. But yeah, it is a sad situation when you see so few cars competing there. And we just have to keep our fingers crossed something will be done to make sure that we have more in the future.
Yeah, because the ingredients is all there. It's just hopefully bringing them together. Because we have the Ulster Rally Cardigan now in a couple of weeks. Some of the best forest stages in the world. From Rally GB was been taking part. They were classics that the fans and everybody raved about. So everything's there. It's just whatever way the ingredients have been mixed up. It just needs a wee bit more refinement, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think so. As I say, it's a really difficult situation that isn't all. And this is the other thing. I don't, without getting too controversial, it's not all the British Championships' fault. I think there is a genuine. For me, it's sad in the UK. It sounds like I'm crying. It's just dropping in my throat. For me, it's sad that essentially the most exciting event is the Roger Albert Clark, which is an amazing event. Don't get me wrong, 5 days of mega action, but that's an event for historic cars.
Yeah.
The modern rallying scene in the UK, and it's been a gradual thing for years, and the lack of rally GB just doesn't help. But we're in a bit of a rut at the minute. And there are the cars out there, there are the events out there, as you say. It's just like the jigsaw pieces haven't quite been put together yet. And I guess one of those we'll have to try and figure out as the years go on. But either way, it was still nice. And you've spoken to one of the juniors as well. I think the junior pace and the battles in there, well, I can attest to it, having driven against them. These guys are really, really properly quick, genuinely properly quick. And that's always been the strength of New Look BRC is the pace in the juniors. These guys, we've seen it. William Crichton's in a brilliant position in JWRC now. Eamon Kelly's proving his pace. He's won an event. Obviously, Josh McElwain as well doing what he's doing. So that's
and
a
Callum
very,
as
very
well.
strong.
The Ulster Rally winner, Callum
Of course, he
Devine,
did.
Yeah,
So he did. Yeah. So it's the proof is in the pudding. There, these guys are all serious talents. Who wins that championship.
Yeah.
So there's definite positives. It's just I think boosting that numbers up front will be important because they can't keep running a championship if there's only going to be 3 or 4 cars at the front. That just isn't going to be sustainable for anybody if they can't rescue it.
For sure. And Conor, closer to home, the weekend there, the Ulster Rally was the final round of the Rally Fours, and their championship, Shane Conn came out on top. But that championship was going from strength to strength. There were some rounds of it, there was 10, 12 entries, and then guys are fighting over fractions of a second.
No, it is, and it's so well supported, and we're seeing more cars appearing from manufacturers as well. Like there really is some serious talent and some serious money going into that, and it's getting healthier all the time, and it's growing all the time, and we're seeing it even from our own, the MI Academy, which we can't praise enough, but even the work that's going on there and encouraging the guys to get into the Rally Fours.
Yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, without further ado, I think we'll catch up with Kyle White, who won the JBRC at the weekend. But first, we'll hear from the new RC4 Tarmac champion, Shane Quinn.
I like that ring. Yeah, that was good.
It's been quite the year for you. You're not long started rallying, but you got a lot of seat time and built your experience this year. And consistency, I say, was the key to the year.
Yeah, definitely. Consistency was key to the year. We started off in Galway and we weren't just happy in the car, just didn't feel right first. But we did work on setup in between rallies, tested for a bit and went to Midlands then at West Cork. And straight away then the car felt so comfortable that we were able to push and get results and have good rallies. And all year then it was a case of getting to the end of rallies, not essentially pushing fell out in the first stage but getting to the end of rallies and getting results and getting points on the board. And consistency really played in our hands this year from Galway the whole way to Ulster. We retired from Killarney and Cork 20. The gearbox went twice on us. We went to Killarney and went to Cork, but we still managed to do fairly well with points. So happy to come out of the year with the title under our belts.
Mm-hmm. And the RC4 category, it's been probably a wee bit under the radar, but it's been incredibly well supported as the years went on. There's some rounds like Killarney, I think there was 12 starters. Donegal, I think 9, 10 or something like that there, wasn't it? So it's when you get to the end of the stage and you've set a top 5 time, you've won hard.
Yeah, definitely. The pace in the Rally 4 class all year in the national and international championship has been unbelievable. The boys are pushing fierce hard and it's great because everyone's pushing each other on to become better drivers, and there's no time to go slow at all. You have to push from the start of rallies and be consistent and push as hard as you can to try and get the result at the end. And as you said, there's 10 or 12 drivers there at every rally so far this year that can come away with a stage win or win the class in the rally.
And like, do you feel that you're benefiting from that? That are you getting, as you say, pushed on with that?
Definitely. Like everyone, we're even talking at the weekend there in Ulster. The pace in the class is so hot. We're all being pushed on by each other, and it's a great class to be a part of because you're being pushed on as a driver. There's no slacking because if you don't push on, you're just going to be left behind, and you just have to keep going and push as hard as you can for every round.
Yeah, and the great thing with the class 4 cars, like no matter whether you have a Fiesta or a 208 or whatever, the cars are fairly evenly matched. There might be a certain stage that will suit the 208 and a certain stage that will suit the Fiesta, but in general, over the course of a rally, they kind of balance each other out.
Exactly. Over a course of a rally, generally balance each other out. To be fair, a Peugeot seems to, let's say, be better on faster stages, whereas a Fiesta goes over the bumps class. Like it just handles really well. Now, I never drove a Peugeot, so I don't know exactly, let's say, just from the outside judging it. But the Fiesta's strong point seems to be the way it handles. It's just its class. Uh, Over bumps, it just, like, I had a few different navigators in this year with me, and they couldn't believe the way this car just sits over the choppy stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, because this was the car of choice in the JWRC until only a couple of years ago, and they are a proven winner. Like, how do you put it? They're a proper little rally car. They're not just a road car converted. They are a bespoke built rally car.
Definitely, like they're a real good rally car. You look at them, as you said, they were in the JWRC for years there, and they're very tough events. They proved themselves over there, and you can prove yourself in the WRC. Like they're good for any national rally, and just once you treat them right, and they'll do what you want them to do and get to the end of the rally.
And going into the Ulster, like you knew that the possibility that it was there to take the championship. Does that affect the way you approach the event, or is it just keep it put that to the back of your mind, drive the rally, and see who you're at the end?
Let's say from Donegal onwards, we were in a comfortable position in the championship. Let's say we could afford to skip around, and like Ulster was points and a half, so it was very important to us. In Cork, then we retired with a gearbox, but we just didn't have a good event down there. But up until that, it was put the championship to your back of your mind. You're leading it at the moment, but that doesn't matter. The boys cancel catch it. You have to go hard. Whereas for Ulster, we knew what we had to do. We had to finish right behind KCJ Coleman in the overall standings to come away with the championship. So for Ulster, yeah, it was a case of championship is there. Keep thinking of that and drive yourself to the finish. And it was a motivation for the whole rally from the recce throughout the rally, that this is here for you at the end if you push hard and work for it. But it was a case of getting through each stage by stage and make no mistakes. Don't push flat out either, because you're not going to lose a load of time on one stage. But once you keep it consistently fast-ish over the whole weekend, you come away with the result.
Yeah, because the Ulster rally, people might look at it and say, "I'm sure it was only 10 stages." But they weren't 10. They were 10 tough, hard stages. Like every second, every fraction of a second was hard won there at the weekend.
They were monster stages, to be fair. Like there wasn't one stage that you could say was handy to get through. Even on Friday evening, the first two stages were wet, and then stage 3 was a washout, and stage 4 was in the dark. You went into Saturday morning, and the first 3 stages were wet and mucky. And then you went to the last 3 stages, and there was muck. One corner you go around to be totally dry. Next corner there'd be so much cuts and muck all over the road. And from the boys in the R5 driving ahead of you, they'd be taking cuts where the whole car would be off the road. And because all the muck is brought out onto the road, you have to follow them. You have no choice, and you're committing to it. And it's good to be able to see that as well from what they're doing and learn a bit as well. But no, the conditions were really tough at the weekend. It was not easy at all.
Yeah, and I know from talking to guys at the weekend that it was tough. But that's why you go rallying. You want those conditions. You want those challenges. When you're competing in a rally, you want the elements through that. You know, you're not out for a Sunday drive as such. That's maybe where I'm going to.
Exactly. And the harder the rally, the better the feeling afterwards. If you get to the end of a tough rally, you feel on top of the world. You feel on cloud nine on the way home. And it's such a good feeling when you get through a stage. Like, that is so tough. And especially when you get home well.
Mhm.
Over the weekend there, you get to the finish line, you're waiting to see the times, just to see how you get on. Did we lose much? Did we gain much? What the story was? And on the way home then after winning the championship, it was just it was a 2 hour drive back to Longford, and it flew. You're so yourself.
Yeah.
It's class.
And like even them to have the opportunity, you know, like Kyle White and Kevin McBride have been the stars of the JBRC at the weekend. You know, to be able to see them in action and see, are they doing anything different from me, or what's their approach, or is there anything I can learn from this?
Yeah, like we were in a similar position as Callum Devine over the weekend, really, where we hadn't to go out and win the class. It was a matter of getting through, and I suppose he was in the same boat as us in the way that he would have liked in an ideal world to be racing Adrian Formeau for the win. But like that, you put the wise head on and you get through the event and do what you need to do. And that's what we were doing. We would have loved to have been racing the boys from the start, but we knew that wasn't our race this weekend. It was just a matter of getting through, and the championship is more important at the end of the day to us to get that and have that to your name.
And like, between the stages, is there a bit of banter, is there a bit of crack, is there a helping hand there if needed?
Definitely, like all the boys in the class are fierce sound. Like we all get on really well. We're friends outside the sport. And as I was saying there before, there's 10 or 12 in the class in each round, and we all get on so well in between stages. We were even chatting there for a few rallies. You don't mind if you go to a stage and there's a 10-minute delay, that you get out and be able to have a chat and slag each other for a while and be able to talk about, just remember that last corner of that stage, over that jump was savage or whatever. It is really enjoyable.
Yeah, because something struck me. It was Aaron Johnson said it in the podcast last week. The friendship even the top guys have, because in reality they're not racing each other, they're racing the clock. And it really brought it home to me as like, that's true. There's nothing you can do really that affects the other person on the stage. It's the clock you're racing.
Exactly, yeah. Like you go every rally you go to, and no matter what class it's in, generally if you start at the start line and walk back, if there's a delay, each class is out, each competitor is out talking to other people in different cars, their same cars. No matter who they are, everyone's out chatting and having a bit of crack in between the stages, and that's a very enjoyable part of the rally as well. And that's why you love sort of going to meet the lads every weekend and be able to race and do what, like, we all love rallying, and we're all have the same love for the sport.
Yeah, because that is another thing. Like, what you've done to take your car down that stage and set a time. So if any man can be, or man, woman, or whatever, can set a time that's 2 seconds quicker or 2 seconds slower, or whatever, what they've done to do that, like, and you appreciate that.
Exactly. I think it was Cod's Head in Clarny this year. We went through the stage and we thought we had a savage run, and got to the end of the stage and got to the start of our groom, and like that there was a delay. We all got out of the cars, we were talking, and we all got to stage thinking the exact same thing. If anyone beats us in there, fair play to them. Us, the other boys in the class, and we all got out, and we were all within 2 seconds of each other. It was just such close racing, and it was class.
Yeah.
Just when you get into a rhythm on a stage, on a dry stage as well, it's just no better feeling. It is class.
Excellent. So Shane, Tarmac champion this year. What's the thoughts going into 2023, or is it, only finished this year? Sorry, going into 2024, I'm only getting finished this year, let me enjoy this, or is there a thought process already going to be?
No, straight away we were talking about next year already, what to do. It's a tough question, to be fair, because we have lots of options. It's just trying to pick the right one to go with and steer down that way, whether it's to go with the dual surface in Ireland. Like, definitely we want to make next year half tarmac, half gravel, if not mostly gravel. So just to build the experience on it, because that's one area that I haven't done much on at the moment. But no, next year I'm not sure. Will we go dual surface, BRC? We might even try an international event abroad somewhere, but we don't know yet. We're talking about putting in inquiries here and there, just trying to get a budget together and get sponsored on board to try and help us achieve what we want to do.
Yeah, and you just touched on it there. Sponsors, sponsorship is vital in rallying, and you have a strong team there behind you. That, as I said, I want to give them a wee shout out.
Yeah, 100%. This year I have to, only for a few very important people, Noel Doyne from NJ Doyne Construction Limited and his daughter Rachel Doyne from CITP Construction Industry Training Providers, along with my dad. Like the three of them have been amazing all year, and without them we wouldn't have been able to do half the rally we were doing. I really appreciate the help that they've given us all year, along with the crew servicing the car. Like the car never missed a beat all year, other than what I did to let them go. Like all the crew at NPL and RLA Autosport, they were amazing all year, and like that we have great crack with them, and they do their job and they do it excellently. Real professional outfit, and it's 100% ran. It's very good, and also have to thank all the navigators who sat with me out throughout the year as well. Stephen Joyce sat with me for Clarny and Cork. Stephen Reynolds sat with me for Circuit of Ireland and Ulster. Sean Brunton sat with me for West Cork, and then Patrick Brides did all the other events. And like Patrick does more with me than just navigating. Like he's like a mentor, and he guides me in the right direction. He's like a big brother in rallying to me. Like he started off navigating with me about 2 years ago, and since that me and him have grown to have a great relationship, and it's thanks to him as well that we've got this championship, because it just been able to be pointed in the right direction. His experience on the stages, along with all the other navigators, it's very important.
I think Patrick is one of them guys who's been about rallying for so long. To have his advice in your corner, I suppose, is like it's advice you can't buy. That it's there, and he has it in his back pocket, just ready to hand out.
Exactly, 100%. Like, and he knows exactly what the car can do, what each stage are like. Like the experience he brought with us to Donegal, it was amazing. Just to be able to know what stages you can go fast on, what to watch out for, what stages get shiny and slippy, and just how to plan out everything. He was very good, and that's why when we go to a rally, he's the boss. Tell me what to do. He's the reins, and I do what he tells me. So I'm very lucky to have him and all the rest of the lads all year. They've all been excellent.
Kyle White, you come away with the JBRC one in the Ulster Rally last weekend. Not only that, but third place in the overall standings at the weekend too. I suppose after Friday night, it was the perfect Saturday for you.
Yeah, as you say, Friday night didn't really go to plan. We were absolutely hemorrhaging time. We were wrongly advised with tire choice. We ended up taking slicks in the end. In hindsight, we've seen everybody took the wets, and we sort of should have really knew from the forecast. But it's nice to be different at the same time. And you'd like to think if it did dry out and it did work in our favour, everybody would be clapping and calling me a hero. But it was unfortunately the other way about this time round, and we just got through, and then we just had one thing in mind Saturday, which was just to go flat out, and we seemed to achieve that, and we clawed time back before stage 7, where I think we ended up with a nominal time. It's one of them things you can go with you or against you. Unfortunately, the majority of the times went against me, but this time around it went with me, so I was happy enough.
Yeah, it's nice to get the rub of the green. As you say, there have been times in the past that things seem to nearly fall against you rather than fall for you, so it's nice sometimes that happens the other way around.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, it was actually this rally coming up, Rally Cardigan Bay, Ceredigion, whatever it's called, went against us when we were rallying against Eamon Kelly. We think we were held up behind Jason Pritchard and another Mark II that had an accident, and we dropped time to him. So as I say, it's just an absolute gamble. It's something that you can't control. It's rallying, the stage is blocked, so you just have to suck it up and get on with it, really.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the JBRC this year, there's about 4 or 5 guys in there, and at the moment it's looking as if it's going to come down between yourself, Kyle Dade, and Casey J. You're having some great battles there.
Yeah, there's some great battles. Obviously, the pace everybody's on is absolutely crazy. And at the last rally and this rally coming up, young Owen Lloyd coming into it as well. He is absolutely on fire there at the minute. It would have been good to have him in the full championship, a bit more competition as well. He's obviously very, very quick, so he's definitely one of my ones to watch if he does compete next year in the Junior BRC.
Yeah, and the fact that the next round is Rally Cardigan, home soil for him, he's going to be determined to go out there and make a point next weekend, or in the rally coming up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just self-explanatory, really. I've done the same in the Ulster myself, but yeah, it'll just be good to take it on to his territory and see how we get on. Last year we had a good run against him. He was very quick there too, but it's just almost into the unknown because we have our car set up to where we like it now compared to where we were this time last year. And he's very much the same as well. He's had a couple of miles behind him too, so you're going into the unknown completely. But I think it would be stupid of me if I was in a position to fight with him to do so, because I have to also keep in mind the championship. And it's easier said than done, obviously. There's a couple of seconds between us going into maybe the last stage or something, but I'll just have to use my head. Yeah. It's maybe up to Sean as well, the navigator. He's going to have to do something.
And this is the whole thing, sometimes, the head has to rule the heart. The heart's going, go for it, you can do this, but sometimes the head has to go, just settle yourself, points are on the board, more importantly.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Points are prizes, and especially now coming into the latter part of the season, I think there's 3 rallies to go. We're in a really strong position. I think it would be pretty stupid to throw it away now, that sort of way, so just have to go with a level head. We'll go like the Hammers in the first part of the rally, and we'll try and see where we are after that.
For sure. And like Ken McBride, this, he made the step up from the, Rally 4 or Rally 2 Fiesta, before up to, he's made up into the JBRC this year. And like a big step, but for somebody so young, he has got a great head on his shoulders. He seems very, very focused, very determined, and he's giving you good races this year as well.
Yeah, it's been great. Great battles. Just absolutely there's nothing better than going maybe 5, 6, 7 people all at the same time fighting for half a tenth here and a second there. And there's nothing better than being involved in the battle. That's what rallying's all about. What happened there in the Jim Clark whenever Max McRae and Kyle had obviously trouble, that was probably the most difficult rally I've had to do in a long time. I think I had a 6 minutes or something lead going into the day 2. And that to me, okay, it's good obviously that you get the points, but it's not what rallying's about, that sort of way. You just absolutely love having them battles, and there's just nothing like it. There's really not.
And like when you've got that kind of a lead, like you must hear every bang and every rattle that going through the car. What was that? We
pulled up to one of the controls, first stage out on Saturday morning, and the car filled the road with blue smoke. And I remember just looking in my mirror and going, "Oh no way is this happening to me!" And it ended up I just drove through the rest of the rally with no anti-lag on because I knew fine rightly the turbo was on its last legs.
Yes.
And with a couple of things in mind of what it could have been, maybe overfilled with oil a wee bit, something, but it just wasn't taking any risks. So it not only is it about going as hard as you can, but it's also about car preservation. You have to maybe protect the drive shafts coming out of the junctions. You have to protect the turbo, the gearbox. So many different things involved, and especially if you're coming out of junction spinning the wheels. It's not just hard on transmission; it's hard on everything in the car.
It just goes through the whole car. Then.
Yeah.
And like this is, this is the thing about the 208 and the Fiesta. Like there's some stages probably suit the Peugeot that wee bit better. There's some stages suit the Fiesta a wee bit. But over the course of the rally, as you said there, tenths of seconds is separating you. It's a very level playing field. It's it is the prep that goes into the car. The prep that yourself and Sean put in. That's where the rally's won and lost. It's not just on the stages.
Yeah, the rally 100% has to be won in the workshop. You have to put the hours in to get the car right. You have to make sure there's no play in the wheels, everything. It's just so much work, and especially when you have a family to do, and we're doing everything ourselves. So basically, we bit of giant killing that way. We don't have a team running our car. There's me and my dad, and the odd night maybe Sean and Alan would come down and give us a hand, but we do everything ourselves. And it's a lot more rewarding, I find, whenever you do it all yourself, and it does. Everything comes together the way it has so far this year. So yeah, going good so far, but it's still a bit to go.
Yeah, and the carrot again, like it's not even truly representative. You couldn't say, "Oh, I've done the Jim Clark and I've done the Ulster. I'm in a good place going into Tarmac." On Tarmac, it's got different characteristics altogether. It's a whole mindset change almost again.
Yeah, the Ceredigion has just a wee bit of everything. It has fast, really open stuff. It has fast, narrow stuff that basically is just about the width of the car on shiny tar. There's tar there that is completely abrasive. You have, obviously, I think the street stage might run this year again, will it? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's so much work involved in this rally. And I would say whoever is the most modest on it might have a good chance of winning it.
Yeah, and the fact that that there's talk that's going to be included maybe in the ERC either next year or the following year, that shows the quality of that rally. They have big aims, and they're obviously putting on a great event for the likes of you guys coming over now next weekend.
Yeah, well, I'd say fair play to them. Whenever we done it last year, it was a fantastic rally. Very well run, very well organised. You had the likes of Hayden Paddon was over last year doing as well. We're chatting to him, lovely guy. Yeah, it's one of them rallies that's on the up and coming. It's very much like the Down rally up here. The Down rally, admittedly, is one of the best rallies I've done this year. And going forward, I can see that being a real contender as well. I was sad to say it wasn't a part of the BRC this year, but hey, so that's not up to me. I can only drive the rallies are provided.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think the Down rally is like a real hidden gem in Irish rally, and like it's the way they bring it into the city centre, the way they bring it to the people. Even the stages are like some of the best in the country. I would totally agree with you in the Down rally, and even the organisers, the approach they take, the friendliness of them. I just think it's a no-brainer. It needs to. Yes, it's around the British Asphalt Championship and around the Northern Ireland Championship, but it's much, much better than that.
Yeah, well, it's even guys in the past, guys in the present have just, any time they've done rallies or the stages that the rally run, they've just said they're the best stages they've ever done. Even like Kaitanovic, Bertie Fisher, Craig Breen, all the big names have always said the stages like Hamilton's Folly, Buck's Head, even I think Lochini was a part of it not so long ago there. They're just stages that are absolutely unrivaled in the whole of Ireland. It's just I can't explain to you what a run over Hamilton's Folly like. I really can't.
I can only imagine. And then like you mentioned earlier, Sean coming down and helping out. Like Sean isn't just a co-driver; he's your buddy, he's your mechanic, he's your co-driver. He's everything rolled into one. Like he's some man for one man, or Sean.
Yeah, I have a Swiss Army knife in there, but I have a Swiss Army Sean as well. He's got everything rolled into one, so he's a good lad. He's obviously a big help and stuff with the car whenever we need it. He sort of has me organised on the weekend, what I have to do, where I have to be, everything. And it's obviously a lot on my mind whenever we're preparing the car, doing everything. It's just nice for him to be able to do that for me. He knows what I need on the event. He's been sitting with me that long, and it's also good in a sense because if he knows if I'm pushing too much on the stage, he can pull me back a bit. If he knows, maybe I've got a wee bit of brain fog, he can snap me out of it, where he did actually there in the Ulster. So it's good to have someone like that beside you, knows what he's doing, but don't tell him that.
No, we'll keep it amongst ourselves.
Keep that amongst us.
Yeah, and then rallying, as you said earlier as well too. Your dad, yourself and your dad's working away at the car. Like your dad, you'll never be able to repay what he's doing, but he's getting as big a kick out of this as you are. Like he's like reliving his youth almost through you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, obviously it's no secret there. He was quick on his day. I don't know now. I think I'd have the edge over him now, but. No, in his day he was quick, and I remember going all the rallies and just saying this is just exactly what I'm going to do. There's nothing else I can do will ever rival this. One of the highlights maybe humbled me a wee bit. My mother took me up, me and my twin brother, dressed us in these wee Shell suits when my dad was sponsored by Shell, and we went up. I think it was towards Enniskillen direction. He was doing, was it maybe the Ulster or something, and he had the Causey escort at the time. And I remember going up the road in the car, and the escort Cosworth broke down on the first stage, and he passed us coming the other way on the motorway. But then we had to double back, and I remember then asking, saying, "Why are we not going to see him?" That sort of way. And it's one of them things as a kid you don't really expect, but
No.
yeah, it's just you really have to get used to it when you're rallying.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And rallying's a very expensive sport. Your dad was a lot into it. You put everyone into it. It's not possible without sponsors. It'd be nice to give them a shout out as well.
No, 100%. Yeah, we've a couple of guys that have, without them, we wouldn't be here really. So you've got Finicky Cleaning Service. They've obviously made a contribution this year. LA Distribution, we would not be here without them. They're an electrical company. They're really, really helpful. Anything we need, if we're under budget, over budget, whatever, they're always there to help. So they're there. We've got Michelin, obviously, with the hat. Yeah. They've been a big help this year. They've give us endless advice that came on board this year. There's just so many people to mention. Race and Rally. It's great to have the support too, because there's a lot of guys out there that really struggle, and for us to get the backing that we have is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, big thanks to them.
Great to hear from Kyle, and look, busy time for him. Not only the Ulster Rally, but also a baby on the way, and he's about to set off shortly for Rally Cardigan in Wales. Kevin, you also had the opportunity to catch up with Patrick Croke on the back of some news that Dirtfish broke this week. Luke?
Yeah, so he's going to be doing next year's Ravens Rock Rally alongside Thierry Neuville, which is just incredible, isn't it? There was some information that my colleague David Evans managed to prize out of James Coleman that they're essentially looking to almost turn Ravens Rock into a massive celebration of Craig and a remembrance event for him. And Thierry's jumped at the chance to be part of it. I believe there was conversations around it, even sort of at the funeral back in April, just sort of murmurings about it. And a lot of the WRC drivers were quite keen to do something. So let's hope that does manage to sort of play out. But it's great to see Thierry take on the initiative. And I think it's a side of him we don't always see. Sometimes he can be cast as like the bad guy, but this is a really heartwarming gesture for him. And for Paddy, it's going to be the ride of his life, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, as you say, Neville is kind of betrayed as the body. But look at every time he finishes on the podium, he makes a substantial donation to local charities and one thing and another. He's not the cold-hearted driver that we sometimes see portrayed behind the wheel. He has a big heart there too as well.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear to see that him and Craig were really good mates. I think on and off the stages as well. So yeah, it's going to be a really touching gesture, no doubt emotional. It always is. But I don't know. It's one of these things that if something good can come out of it, I guess this is something that didn't come out of it. So it should be a great weekend next year. There will be plenty more, I imagine, over the next few weeks and months of plans and what's been confirmed, what isn't being confirmed. But it's quite an exciting time for those involved.
That's for sure. And Conor, before we hear from Patrick, the stories, the rumour mill of even half of it comes alive. We're in for some treat next year.
First and foremost, absolute celebration of Craig. But from a rally fan's perspective, wow, what a treat! Like if we can get some of the WRC stars over onto Irish soil, to just exhibition drive, and we're just love it. And fairness to Terry, he's going to be under a lot of pressure because the last time Paddy sat in the car, he won.
This is true.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's hear from Mr. Paddy Croke. Patrick, it's been a difficult few months, but there's some good news to tell as well.
Thanks very much for having me, Kevin. Yeah, it's been a very tough couple of months. Absolutely, for a whole host of reasons. Obviously, we lost Craig and the world of rallying lost Craig, and it's been a very hard year for us, and obviously for Craig's family more so, and Craig's friends, and yeah, it's been a tough few months, Kevin. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the Ravens Rock this year, 2023. Craig wasn't there in person, but he was there in spirit. Sean Hassett and Mike Chen brought the Skoda over. And just the way the stars aligned for that day, it was as if the man himself was there steering the thing along.
Yeah, absolutely. James Coleman and James Coleman and obviously got in contact with Mike Chen and with Johnny Hassett to see where they could get the Skoda. So they were delighted to bring the Skoda off Andrew Fanning. It was Andrew Fanning's Skoda they used. But yeah, you've probably seen the car and everyone's seen it, and it was all done in Craig's famous sayings, as the saying goes. And like that, we were laughing and joking. There was probably sayings that shouldn't have been on the car, or should have been on the car, but obviously couldn't for law reasons. It would have been absolutely. There was more. That man had more sayings and more. He came out with some stories, but yeah, it was kind of it was lovely. It was lovely to see all the sayings on the car and stuff like that. Kevin, it was. They done a real lovely job, and I think they kind of, how would you put it? They made a tribute to Craig the way Craig would have loved a tribute to be repaid for him, because the amount of people that seen the car and loved it, and even everyone got a saying on the car. He's close to friends, to his colleagues in WRC. He had all these sayings, and just to see it, the tributes on the car were lovely. So it was a nice little touch. It was, in fairness.
And like the two boys said, like, from they went out, it was at the first passenger control, the name at the bottom, the initials at the bottom of it was CB. Like the number 42 popped up throughout the day. Josh won by 42 seconds. His 40-second one.
Yeah. I think the first control, when Sean handed his time card at the window, like you were saying, your man's initials were CB, and again 42 came up of a second, and then Josh won the rally by 42 seconds. So it's all that. It's kind of, he was there. There was no doubt about it. He was definitely there in person, in spirit. For sure. More such in person. Absolutely, that was, So he was,
Yeah, and like we seen the outpouring of grief at the time of his death, and like the WRC drivers were, the way they come together, even they come over for the funeral, but then even the week later at the event, Craig was with them, each and every one of them, and they want to come to Ireland next year now and pay tribute to the great man he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Just touching on his funeral, I like even the amount of drivers that actually took it off their own accord and got on airplanes and came over. And obviously, it was the week of Croatia, so like any WRC event, them boys would be gearing up, doing recce and getting their last bit of testing done, obviously, before the event. But no, they made the trip over, and it was so lovely to see him. And even for the month's mine, a lot of them came over as well. And getting back to Croatia, like, you'll never see it. As long as I'm following rallying, Kevin, which is a very long time, I don't think I've ever seen a livery of a car change in the circumstances. Like, they totally revived the colour scheme with the tricolour and with Craig and stuff, which was absolutely lovely. And even to see the likes of Ford and Toyota putting their little symbols on it also was a lovely thing. So it was absolutely emotional to see it, but the way that the WRC guys got behind it was nothing but fantastic. The car looked very, very well, I have to say.
For sure. It was and then, because the Irish contingent out there, they got swept up in this, as well too. Like, the number of the crews that happened to be out there that weekend, and like to see them all standing around Craig's, or the car as well too. Like, it would have brought a tear to a stone.
Yeah, it was, Kevin. It was. It was very emotional to watch it. Like, the amount of Irish people that even travelled. Like, obviously there was a lot of people booked to travel to Croatia when Craig was doing it, but obviously the crash happened and he lost his life. But the amount of people that travelled, even to, how would you say, even fly the flag, even more so on the event. Like, it was phenomenal. Like, there was one bit of the in-car, I don't know, was it Thierry came down to a square right, and like he came around the corner, and there was just a sea of Irish flags, and it was like you knew exactly what he meant to the Irish people, and not even that. It's like
to the world,
people throughout the world. Exactly. You have it, Kevin. To the world. It wasn't even in Ireland. Like, it's the amount of people that respected him, from the smallest guy up to the top level. He was just renowned through the world. He was absolutely a fantastic guy, and we lost one of the best.
That's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah,
That's for
absolutely,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, but that's in saying that, the Irish people really, really got behind him. The whole lot in Croatia, and even the WRC family, they really put the ball out of the park when they really gave him a good send off and a fitting tribute to such an amazing person.
That is
Absolutely,
for sure.
Kevin.
That's for sure. And like, you know, those drivers, you know, sometimes, you know, the next week they're moved on, they're on to a different story or whatever. But no, not with this. They want to come here to Ireland next year and pay tribute to their friend, to their guy.
Exactly, yeah, and how that came about, you probably move on there. How that came about, we were all at Craig's wake, and Thierry Neville was there, and Elspeth Alapi was there, and Martin Reed Agger, and they went in to pay tributes to obviously Jackie and Ray, and I think it was Thierry that was talking to James Coleman, and James Coleman and everyone, Thierry Neville and James Coleman said, "Look, wouldn't it be lovely for to try and get some of the drivers then to come over and do a rally or some kind of thing for Craig?" Like that, everyone kind of said, "Yeah, look, you know, people would say stuff at a funeral,"
Yeah.
and we were thinking, "Okay, look, if it happens, it happens."
Yeah.
But I think it actually took off, as in a lot of people, when they heard it, they said, "Yes, it has to happen." And
Yeah,
most
make this
definitely,
happen. Yep. Yep.
yeah, like it is in full swing. It's very sad, because obviously Craig would have loved to seen a round of the World Championship in Ireland, in his home country, and to be competing in front of his home crowd on a World Championship event would have been the icing on the cake. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for a host of reasons. But I think what they're going to do with some of the drivers coming over, he will absolutely love it. And to see the Rally 1 cars in Ireland, and maybe, just maybe, Kevin, who knows, we might see him back on a proper WRC event. But yeah, the event for Craig is going to happen. The next couple of months now, there'll be a lot of planning and a lot of organisation coming, and James Coleman and a few others have been to a lot of the teams, and a lot of the teams have said, "Yeah, we are coming." So it's a good thing, because everyone wants to be there for this event. So
For the celebration and such, and like,
yeah.
and not only are they coming, there's going to be a very special co-driver be drafted in for the event as well.
I do not know how it's going to happen, but it is happening. It is happening. And again, Thierry came over to me at Craig's funeral. He said, "Look," he said, "I want you to come to Ireland to do the rally, and I want you to sit beside me." And getting like that again, Kevin, I said, "Yeah, no problem, as you would." Look, it's people being nice, whatever, and no. He went back to Belgium, and he said, "No, we have to come to Ireland." And he said, "When we come, I want Paddy, Croke, Craig's friend, to sit with me." So that's how that came about. I'm absolutely over the moon. It's I wish that, I think the next year will never come. It's going to be absolutely amazing for me to get the opportunity to sit in a Rally 1 car. But yeah, we will do him proud. And I'm sure the other lad is looking down and going, "He's going to make another hand of this again." Yeah, not again. I could just see him up there now going, "Oh, no, don't tell me this fella's going back out in here again." It is. Look, it is what it is. It's going to be pretty unique, Kevin. It is going to be pretty unique, to get to go.
We should mention that Terry Neville is like one of those real good guys when it comes to in the WRC. Like every round he goes to, he visits local charities. He's donating money to worthwhile causes, like a lot of kids charities and one thing and another. Like he seems an all-round good guy. Never mind a rally driver. He seems to be a real good guy behind it all.
Yeah, well, like Kevin, like they're normal people, but they just do a fantastic
incredible
job.
Yeah.
Of driving a rally car and driving it to perfection. Like he's no different than anybody else. He is an absolute, genuine, decent guy. Like I said, he does all his charity work, and he's another Craig. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Absolutely.
He likes to give back. He never forgets his fans. No, they all don't. Without the fans, they can't be running, like without the whole roadshow of the people and their fans and whatever. They can't be it, but genuinely, like, he's one of these nice guys, and like Craig, he likes to give back to what people gave to him, which is a nice thing, I suppose, to be able to do that.
Yeah, and as well as that too, he's a rally nut as well. He's a bubble hatter, the same as what Craig was. He loves his BMW, his wee Corsa. He's that headless as well, like the rest of us.
like absolutely. Jack Brennan got the opportunity. He was with the cross carts in somewhere in Belgium, and I think that Jack got the opportunity to go down into the. He had this massive workshop where these cross carts are built, and underneath the floor, like how would you call
it? A basement
an underground car park. And Jack just sent me a little snip of a Snapchat, and there was like Fiesta were radical, Hyundai were radical, the Nova, the 306 Maxi, and I was meant to go. And I don't know, did I get sick or something happened? And I was like going, I can't believe this. I'm not missing, like, the holy grail of rallying is there. The man have some lovely ties.
Yes.
And like Craig, they never seem to be out of the car. They just love getting into them, and they love going out. Like, if you told anyone I have a Nova home in the shed, they're going, and you have a Nova. It ain't no Nova. It's lovely. It's lovely to see it. It's lovely that people, they don't forget the roots, and they don't forget the cars that, like,
got them where they are today. Yeah.
Like, obviously Thierry started off in a Nova the same way Craig would have started in Fiesta ST. Like, they all started in
the small cars and worked their way up through. Yeah.
They built them. They've come up to the main rankings of the WRC cars, or Rally 1 cars, as they're called today. Yeah.
And like, this event, it's still in the early stages of planning, but it's going to be something special. Like, it's not going to be just the normal run of the mill event.
No, it's not. My phone this morning, since that went up, my phone has not stopped. The amount of people, and I was just looking back at it, because I keep an eye on the dirt fridge, and I know David and I know Colin, and on a fairly regular basis I'd be in contact with him, and we're putting all this together, and things were going on behind the scenes, and like I was saying, geez, if this could happen, wouldn't it be brilliant? And it was going to happen, and like, unfortunately, we had to bide our time and until the correct time to release something like this. But yeah, it most definitely will be a fantastic event. I hope that they can run 5 or maybe 6 good stages. I'm sure James and his crew will sit down and they will pick 6 fast stages. Like, we have some lovely roads. I don't know, Terry left me a comment on, he shared the story, and he said, "Are you ready?" And I just texted back like something. Believe you me, you are going to fall in love with Irish tarmac. He will want to come back. They're rally on the best tarmac in the world, but not like Craig Breen is even up there smiling, going, "That's my boy. There ain't no Irish tarmac. We are renowned for it."
Yes.
So yeah, it's all. Look, like you said, it's in the early stages of it. But I think that they have a good team around them, and I think that they have enough people there that they will make it a lovely event. And like I said, it'd be like more of a festival and a memorial thing to Craig. The man he was, just to give him that fitting tribute to say thank you for everything that you've done. Because obviously Craig put Irish rallying back up there. He was back into he was back in a WRC car with a proper team, and it was great to see. And it'd be great to see the likes of Jack Brennan and the likes of like Josh McLaren and all them boys coming. Like, they looked up to Craig, and it's lovely to see the boys are continuing on. And like, I know that Josh was out in Rally's Lend the weekend, and you have Jack doing the forestry, and you have so many others. And the more modern thing is great. It's great for them. It's great for them lads to get a run. And look, like, obviously they want to live up to where Craig was, and it's brilliant to see it. That kind of a thing able to happen for him. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It was Craig and Paul and Chris that has opened these doors, and these young guys coming up through with the MI Rally Academy. The doors open. They're kicking it open, and they're here, and we're here to stay.
Absolutely. You only have to see Jack Brennan, the way he's just so dedicated to it, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. And like that little Cleo, I'm actually sitting in with him now on Sunday. We're doing the local rally sprint for the Carrigal Shore Motor Club, and it'll be like a bear in a washing machine. But I'm actually looking forward to sitting in. No, to see it, because like it's a lovely little car, and I'm just I'm looking forward to sitting into it and seeing what he can do with it. Because anything you see on him, he's always sideways in it. But to see that kind of, but again, the foundations of what the MI Academy is doing for rallying and bringing the youngsters up, like Jack and like Josh McClay, it's fantastic to see. I think it's a brilliant idea. And when it was put together last year with John Coyne and his crew, it was a fantastic idea. And let's hope they can really support it.
And the great thing is that Craig was there. Craig was supporting it. That we've often talked, to some of the guys, and Craig was always, maybe speaking over to them in the service part, or attending events like the Junior 1000 thing. He was full square behind.
Exactly, exactly. He put up the 10 grand money or whatever it was to that. Like, for any youngster sitting into a car that don't even have a driving license, to win a prize that Craig Breen. It'd be like going back years ago, Colin McRae putting a prize up for someone. That is like that. Like they're trying to live up to. This name, this is
their idol.
What I'm trying to say, he just set the bar on Irish rallying, and I think that all the youngsters, and it was great for him to do that for the J1000, to like Thierry Neville with his thing, with his fundraising. It was lovely that Craig put it in. Now, obviously, he put it in, and God love him, he lost his life soon after. I would presume that he would have been still looking down on them all and cheering them on. I think it's a great class, and it's lovely the way they can just get their cars. They're one leader. Everyone have their own car. It's not like it's basically like Craig when he done the ST thing, like that Rally Academy, that WRC Academy. Everyone was given a car, an ECU, and the man with the best talent. There was no tricks. There was no
smart pieces that you put into the car or nothing. It was the two nuts behind the wheel.
Exactly, Kevin. There was no. Kevin. There was no. How would you put it? There was no politics. It was whoever had the balls came out on top. That's exactly what this is. Sure. And like the J1000, it's a brilliant thing. I think it's a fantastic thing. Sure. Because like when I was growing up and looking at my dad rallying and looking at all my uncles rallying, there was nothing like that.
No.
Like there was it's rallying's a costly sport, but back then people didn't really have that kind of you couldn't say to your 16 or 17-year-old son, look, we'll go out and buy a Mica or a Star, because I don't think there was that kind of funding or that kind of
and there was no foundation to go. Yes.
No one. And that, again, as times moved on, it's great for kids that they've been given this opportunity to be able to go out, compete in a rally car, do their forestry rallying, and it's great. And I think like that, I'm always saying it, and even we have the brother young lad, and he's only 3, but we are always saying, when he comes now, I'm always saying when he comes to an age of learning he's left from right, braking accelerator straight away, put him into a go-kart. He has to be doing something, because he's just, I always say, if a child have a purpose in life, or even if you have a purpose in life, Kevin, you'll always go. You have to have a purpose in life, and I think the J1000 thing for Irish motorsport is a great thing, and I think that it will take off around in other countries as well, I would imagine.
For sure. So, we're looking forward to next year. We can't say too much at the moment because, it's all still very much, but this is going to be the Rally Academy is the envy of the world. This is going to be the envy of the world as well. This celebration of Craig.
It will. It will. It'll be a lovely celebration. It will be a lovely celebration, and I do hope they put it out the back. Like I said before, I think they have the people there behind them, and they should be able to put it out the back. It'd be lovely to see it, and it probably will be the envy of the world. And I hope that people really get behind it and come out and celebrate Craig's life. And it will be it'd be just lovely to see it. Absolutely.
So, Paddy, as I said to you after we recorded, I can't but wish you the best. There's a slot on here anytime you want. It's always great to talk rallying with that man. An absolute pleasure. Also, last weekend was the latest instalment of the ERC Barnum Rally. Conor, it seemed to be an epic rally.
Yeah, it certainly was. Massive crowds. Like, I know myself from going out to events in Europe, the Czech fans are just mental. They really do love their rallying, and they turn out in hordes. So, like, there was hundreds and thousands of fans everywhere. Whenever you looked at any of the coverage, it was just amazing. Another, hot rally in the cars and out there as well. So temperatures were pretty high, and it's a tough technical event as well. So pretty challenging for the crews, and you could see that from watching and following the rally. A lot of the leading guys were all having issues, and what do you call it? This could have been a decider, and it ended up being a deciding round for the ERC Championship with Hayden Paddon.
Yeah, look, this season, the ERC has probably upped their game. It's become, it has become that second level now behind the WRC, where a few years the ERC was almost a forgotten championship. It's good to see it back where it belongs.
Yeah, I think obviously last year it was the change of promoter from Eurosport to WRC promoter, which at the time, I must be honest, I thought kind of strange. It was almost like they were monopolising all the major rally championships, but I think it's really worked. The all-life product has particularly worked for ERC crews, and I think it almost took last year, where the competition was tight, but it maybe didn't have the sort of high-profile names that would get the more sort of casual rally fan really excited. I think it took last year for some of these guys to sort of look at what was going on, and they made a couple changes to events this year, and the entry's been incredible. I remember when it came out for the first event in Portugal, and it was like a who's who of international rallying. It was crazy. Like, dare I say, better than most WRC entry lists, to be honest. The quality in there, and yeah, the guys that have been there throughout have been amazing. But I think genuine props to Hayden and John for the way they've driven the season. Winning the opening rounds gave them the championship lead, and they've just protected it from there on in. I know what they're both like. They want to win every rally. So not pushing it all the time must have been really difficult. But to go 6 rallies in a row with podium finishes was incredible. Obviously, it just had to be in a way that the one they clinched the championship one was the one where they had some drama. But it ended up being enough anyway with their closest rival, Martin Cesc, not quite high enough to stop them getting the championship. But I think few would turn around and say they didn't deserve it. And it was great. I think a great story for the ERC to have the first non-European champion in 70-year history of a championship. That's a big deal. So yeah, I think incredible season, incredible achievement for them.
For sure. And as well as that, then too, like Barnum at the weekend, like it was a bit of a school fest. I think were they in the first 11 places or something at the finish up?
That's the usual story, isn't it? I think when you get to the Czech Republic, I think it's almost like British cars used to be like this all the time. It was always Malcolm Wilson's cars in the M Sports were everywhere. But as everybody knows, the Skoda's a great car. And Mr. Devil won it again, didn't he? Jan Kopecki with his 11th win on this rally, which is just crazy. I'm pretty sure that's maybe 10 of the last 11 years he's won it, and the one you didn't win it, he was driving his course car. So it's utter domination. But he doesn't seem to run away with it every year. He's always sort of matched, but never quite beaten. It's a very specific event. It takes a lot to succeed there. It's not just about being fast. It's very tricky, very broken tarmac. So it's one of those rallies actually I'd really, really love to go to one day just to experience. As Conor said, the fans and the atmosphere, it looked incredible and some challenge.
And then, in addition to that, with a few MI crews out there as well. So we don't know. And Josh McGrelean was having a great weekend. What do you call it? He was sitting in run top 10, looking for a solid top 10 finish. And then, just unfortunately, on the last loop of stages on the final day, they kind of had a mystery engine issue where the car was cutting out on them on corners.
Yeah, and then Aoife and Ronan was out there too in the Rally 4 Peugeot 208 as well.
Yeah, and then we had Matt Kieran sitting with
Max McCrae.
McRae, and again they were doing quite well, and then a couple of minor incidents, and then unfortunately failed to finish the event. They had trouble on the penultimate stage. I was able to catch up with Hayden Paddon, who literally was not too long off. I think he had one night's sleep, having arrived home and off, and then I also caught up with Eva Raftery and Ronan Comerford. Hayden, 2023 European Rally Champion. Is that mission accomplished?
Yeah, definitely. It was obviously our main target this year. A lot of effort's gone into the program this year between the team in Italy and our team here in New Zealand. So yeah, it sounds pretty nice to obviously be able to achieve that, and yeah, something that we can be pretty proud of.
And look, you've had a really consistent season. 1 win, 5 second places, like really were on the money. Did that match your expectations, exceed your expectations, or is that what you expected to be?
Look, when you looked at the entry list for the first round back in Portugal, was probably a little bit nervous, and just the quality of the field, and just so many fast drivers. So we surprised ourselves by winning that first round. It wasn't what we expected, and I guess that sort of set the example for the rest of the year. And we sort of just found ourselves in positions on pretty much most rallies where we almost had to consolidate to keep banking the points. And while some of our rivals were having problems, we were able to keep putting together strong results. So I wouldn't say it was a championship assault where it was all about speed. I'd say it was probably about trying to be, I guess, drive a bit more of their head rather than their heart this year, and that's what paid dividends by the time we got to the end of the season.
And Byram Rally at the weekend, you went into that with a 55-point lead, so in a comfortable position over Martin Sesks. So you were, I think, by stage 8 or 9, you were sitting in 5th or 6th place overall. You weren't pushing. I presume you intentionally weren't pushing for, you didn't need to be higher than that. But drama on stage 10, what happened?
Yeah, to be honest, it was just a strange rally full stop for us. We went into the rally with the safety mindset. So the way we set up the car at tests, the way we did the pace notes, we carried 2 spare tyres all rally, and it was just all about being safe, safe, safe. And then as the rally sort of started to progress, it became reasonably evident, and in a non-cocky way, if you like, that Martin wasn't probably going to get in the top 5, which is where he needed to be at minimum, no matter what we did. So we were sort of stuck in this no man's land of not pushing. And I guess it's almost that mentality is sort of what caught me out there on stage 10. Obviously, I made a mistake, and it was on a gravel section, right and left, and I've just simply turned in too early on the left-hander, which just pushed us wide, and we clipped the tree. So it wasn't in the script, shall we say, to do it that way. But if anything, it created a different storyline, if you like. We still achieved the end result, and we just had a bit of extra excitement on a Sunday.
And going into that stage, I think Martin was sitting 14th overall. So once obviously you surveyed the damage and realized you weren't going any further, what was the feeling in the car? Were you confident you still would have this, or was there a bit of intrepidation?
Yeah, I guess in normal situations, when you have a bit of an accident, you're probably, a bit angry with yourself in bits and pieces. And to be honest, I think John and I were quite calm, because we knew that Martin had a mountain to climb to get back into the top 5 with only 3 stages to go. And it wasn't like we were fighting for a win or a podium when we had the accident. We were fighting for 4th, 5th, 6th. There was a close battle there with a few of the locals. So, as I said, it was just a strange mental mindset to be in on that day. So yeah, we had to play the waiting game. Obviously, okay, we got the car fixed so we can get out of there and at least make sure we drove the car to service and we could get it to the finished podium. But yeah, we just had to wait for those final few hours to have it, I guess, official.
And I saw the images of you going off and retrieving the wheel, and yourself and John working away at the car. Was that just something to do? You couldn't sit still, or what was behind that?
Well, obviously, we were 500 meters down the road from where we touched the tree, so needed to go back and get the parts anyway. You don't want to be leaving dampers and things lying around because there's still some value to our team for that. But then once I grabbed it, it was all more or less intact, and it was as I was walking it back to the car like a dog on a leash almost. I sort of figured, well, like, we could probably chuck this back together. Okay, all the bolts and had been stripped out and the brackets bent and broken, but there was enough there that I could see that we could sit it all back together to make the car at least movable. So, and to be fair, if it didn't take half an hour to find the wheel, we probably could have still got back to service within our lateness, fixed it at service, and carried on in the afternoon. So it was just that 30 minutes it took to track it down and bring it back to the car, which I guess is what hindered us.
And, first non-Europeans to win the ERC, which, fantastic result. But it literally meant you were rallying, the other side of the world to where you live. Like, I know in Ireland, we've a, similar size population, just over 5 million. And rallying is a bit of a niche sport. And we struggle here to get the attention in the media that the sport deserves. Are you getting the recognition at home? Is it being recognized, the achievement that you've made, that you've written your names into the history books?
Yeah, it is probably a little bit similar, like what you say, to what it is in Ireland in terms of media and bits and pieces. But in saying that, we've always had amazing support here in New Zealand. Not just from media, but the fans and the rally community and our sponsors and partners. So that's what makes it all the much more worthwhile. It is quite humbling to have that support. And obviously we had a few Kiwis over with us as well who travelled all the way around the world just for 5 days to support us and then come back home as well. Definitely people here are passionate about the sport, and particularly I think with Rally New Zealand that was back here last year, that sort of, I guess, upped the interest in the sport, and hopefully we'll see WRC back here again in the future as well.
And in addition to the ERC, you've also been competing at home this year, which obviously is very important. But how have you genuinely managed to do that between all of the travel? I'm sure the toll that it takes on yourself and John physically and mentally, and then the importance of obviously competing at home as well.
I think I've been living in a constant jet lag state for about 3 months now. As soon as you start getting into the time zone, it's turned the time to go around and head back home or to the other side of the world. So it's been certainly pretty demanding with all the travel this year. But now that we're back in New Zealand, with the European Championship done, we're predominantly going to be back in New Zealand now. We've got a lot of events now over the next 3 months here. So, and it is super important for us to be doing the stuff in New Zealand, because essentially that's what the interest is for our partners and for our sponsors, is us competing here, integrating their customers into events and things. Like when we're on the other side of the world, it's difficult for us to give that same sort of value back to our sponsors. So, the reality is, if we don't compete in New Zealand, we probably don't have the budget to compete overseas. I know, sometimes we get a little bit of flack here about why we're here and why don't we just go overseas. Well, it's not that simple. The two go hand in hand, and we've got to make both of those campaigns work.
And you've mentioned there about the sponsors and the stakeholders. It's important for them, and the ERC, it's a very well promoted competition now compared to previous years, but it still doesn't get the same exposure the WRC gets. And from a sponsorship point of view, it must be a big task to go to your local sponsors who've been extremely faithful to you over the last 10 or whatever years, to say to them, right, can you provide me with budget, but you're not going to see yourselves being promoted locally or not as often.
Yeah, well, look, that's obviously why we're trying to build our business as well with what we're doing here in New Zealand, because we're trying to use our business behind supporting any campaigns we're doing as well. But essentially, I think personally, my opinion is the European Rally Championship is the best value for money you can get of any rally championship in the world. Essentially, there's only really 2 championships globally that have live coverage of every stage, good media presence, and that's obviously WRC and ERC, which are both done by the WRC promoter. And for me, we're obviously doing ERC in the same car that we've been doing WRC2 in, but for almost half the cost. You're doing similar amount of miles. You're on good roads, good stages. The Rally 2 cars are the main show. So, not taking anything away from WRC2 or anything like that, but for me and where I am in life anyway, I've seen a lot of value out of ERC this year. I've just loved it, and personally, I'd love to try and get back there again next year, and I guess build on what we've been doing this year.
And what do you got with regard to the New Zealand Championship? Where are you at in that championship? What do you need to do to win it?
Yeah, so we're 3 rounds in. We had to miss one of the rounds, but we've got 2 rounds remaining. Daybreak Rally in, I think, 4 weeks' time, and then Bay of Plenty Rally, so both North Island events. And there's pretty much a three-way fight, I think, for the championship between ourselves, Rana Horan, and Ben Hunt. So we've got two big one-day rallies coming up. So anything can happen, as we all know in the sport. So we'll just go and do the best job we can. And then, of course, we've got a lot of hill climbs, single venue event. So that's what we get our 800 horsepower hill climb car out for. So that's some proper fun. And then, of course, our EV car as well, which we're still doing a bit with. And that I guess we'll see some events again soon as well.
And based on winning the ERC, is there more pressure on you then to take the New Zealand Championship? Is there more of a spotlight or more expectation?
Not at all. I think that expectation has always been there for many years now. So we know we've got a big target painted on our back. And I must admit, like the level of New Zealand Championships going up and up every year. There's a lot of Rally 2 R5 cars here now. The level of the drivers is continuing to increase. And at the end of the day, we've got to be respectful that here in New Zealand it is a hobby for everyone, probably like what it is for much of the Irish Championship. All the guys here have got jobs. They don't get a lot of time in the seat. So I guess, we always have a bit of an advantage when it comes to that. But, for Daybreak, it's going to be good to have Shane Van Gisbergen back. He's the ultimate professional. He's fast no matter what he drives. So we're expecting a pretty good battle with him. Obviously the rest of the New Zealand Championship as well.
And look, you mentioned there a couple of minutes ago about, the plan next year, getting back to Europe. Has the planning already started for that? Does it make it easier for you going back to your sponsors now, with the championship in the bag? Or is it a case of, you've been there, you've done that, it's ticked off maybe from a sponsorship point of view? Do they see the value in it again?
Ultimately, I think when you're winning, things do get a little bit easier in terms of, okay, it's never easy, but for sure, we've got some good momentum at the moment. We want to carry that momentum forward into whatever program we can put together for next year. It's probably early to say. Ultimately, the only way we can put together a European Championship is through support through Europe. We've had some very good support from BRC, the Italian team that we've been running with this year. For us to put another program there, we need continued and increased support to put something together over there. And we're looking at options in New Zealand. We look at options in Australia, America. Nothing's off the table at this stage. We're obviously only in August, so we've got a bit of time on our side. But it'd be nice to try and get something, I guess, a bit more confirmed before the end of the year.
And look, you've been hugely loyal to Hyundai, and campaigning at Hyundai, and are mainly supported by the distributor for Hyundai in New Zealand. But have you had any recognition from the manufacturer or the World Rally team based on what you've done at the weekend?
Hyundai Motorsport have obviously been involved in a small way this year as well. We've been helping them out with development on the Rally 2 car. It's obviously in our best intentions for a brand globally to help sell more cars, essentially, whether it be rally cars or road cars. So, it's a brand that I'm obviously incredibly loyal to, and I want to stay loyal to, and we'd like to continue that partnership going forward. Hyundai New Zealand's obviously like part of our family, but on a global level, we do need more support to, I guess, continue the progress of what we're doing and to help the brand around the world.
And probably most importantly, from our podcast perspective, how much closer are we to getting you competing in Ireland?
Well, it's mentioned all the time, and it is definitely on the bucket list. So I think after doing Durham, actually, that's the first time I've done a bumpy tarmac rally. So that's probably a good warm-up to come and do something in Ireland at some stage.
Yeah, or vice versa. Maybe do the warm-up with us before you go to the Czech Republic again. Yeah,
it's a good idea. Yeah, good test rally. We'll put that on the agenda for next year.
Aoife, Ronan, you're very welcome. Just back from a busy and very hot Barham rally, I understand. How did the weekend go for you, Aoife?
Hi Connor, how's things? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was a really good weekend. Quite tough. I think it's known as one of the trickiest rallies there is. So it was brilliant to be able to experience it and drive on those stages. But no, it was really fun, and we had a really enjoyable time.
And Aoife, when you go to somewhere new like that, and it's quite technical, huge crowds because the Czechs are massive rally fans. Is it quite daunting to go into that, or do you kind of shut all of that out?
Yeah, it is. I suppose all going to all these events have been quite like the same. You're heading into a big event. There's new challenges at each one, and trying to kind of on the test, I suppose, try and get the feeling on the type of surface that country is. But no, the fans, that was definitely the biggest crowd at Barham Rally. The amount of spectators was just incredible.
And Ronan, for yourself on a very technical rally, does that double your workload, treble your workload? You know, what's it like as a co-driver?
Yes, Connor, thanks for having me on. Yeah, for sure. It has been a huge challenge for me, and as for co-drivers overall. I know I was speaking to a couple of them over the weekend, and they did say this is one of the hardest ones to conquer. And obviously dealing with like the heat and the conditions that was there, it's quite new for Barham because they're actually not used to that heat. They're used to wet rain, you know, and it's not always as dry as what it was last weekend. So yeah, it was to adapt to that for a start was a real challenge, and then to follow everything along with normal co-driving procedures, it just made it that wee bit more challenging. But it's good. I love a good challenge.
And you know, as we're all aware, there's been quite a bit of a heat wave over Europe this summer. So you guys did Rally Rome together, and you've done the Barham. Like, what's the heat been like? Like, you know, what temperatures are you looking at in the cars, Aoife?
I know in Rome, anyways, we reached 42 degrees, and that was outside the car. So I'd say inside was it was very hot. No, it has been insane, the heat, but as well, like, yes, it is really tough and challenging, but just to keep hydrated and making sure you have the things there to help cool you down is important. But on the actual stage, I don't think you really notice the heat. It's only at the stage end or maybe on the stage start. But to be fair, when you're actually driving on the stage, you just kind of forget about it.
So the adrenaline kicks in, and you know,
Yeah, you're thinking about everything else. So
yeah. And Ronan, in the work that you guys have been doing in the MI Academy, has that helped at all with the preparation for the likes of these events, and you know, that sort of that area around, you know, your own condition and physical condition?
Yes, for sure, Connor. You know, the support that Motorsport Ireland and the Academy have been giving us over this past year, and reminding us all to hydrate and keep on top of everything, really plays a part whenever you go out to the European events, because there's so much more full on and there's so much more to do. And to keep sharp, you have to be well prepared, you know. Of course some things will slip, and you know, you will have to deal with it, but you learn from the mistakes and you carry your knowledge and understanding forward and be ready to go. So the next event, you know.
Yeah. And Aoife, drama on the opening stage?
yeah, there's always a bit of drama. Yeah, the opening stage, look, it was you know, it was quite early. It's a 9 kilometer spectator stage in the dark, so it is a good challenge and it's a really good stage. And it was quite early on into it. We just kind of, I suppose, this mixture of cold tires and there was water coming into the corner, and we kind of turned in for it. But the back broke away on us, and then just trying to correct it, it snapped away again. And yeah, like we hit the curb and we lost a good bit of time over it. But like it was still nice. Okay, it wasn't great that it happened, but it was good that we were able to finish it and go again for the following day.
And when you have something like that at the very beginning, mentally, how do you kind of hit reset and not let it bother you and go again?
I think I've got a lot better at it. I think at the beginning you used to kind of, I suppose, just practice, and you know, the academy helps you train for that as well and resetting. But I just kind of went into Saturday with, you know, I had a target for Saturday and I had a target for Sunday. So having those kind of just helped me kind of concentrate on what I needed to do and try and just forget that happened and try and build back on my times.
And Ronan, as a co-driver in that scenario, do you have a role to play there, or is it a case of no, like, I'll stay quiet, I'll let Aoife sort this out in her own head? Or are you there with the encouragement? You know, as a co-driver, what do you do?
Yeah, well, in different situations, your reactions will differ. But in that situation, I didn't say nothing because I knew we would get the car started and we'd get going again. One thing for the co-driver is, though, we have 60 seconds on the trackers to press OK, and if the stage is blocked or not, which is important for me to do during that stoppage. Now, if we stop and we can get going within the 60 seconds, the tracker will automatically know that we're moving again, and it'll not nothing will happen. But in that instance, we were stopped for over a minute, but I had the tracker hit okay, and the road wasn't blocked, so they knew that the rally could continue. But if I wasn't to do that, if I didn't hit that, then penalties would be imposed, and ultimately it would ruin our rally if a simple wee thing like that isn't done. But that would be the only thing in that scenario that I would have had to do.
Grant. And Aoife, you were one of 6 female drivers on the event. Is that kind of where your target or your benchmarking was? Is that what you were looking at as your main competition for the weekend?
I think after losing so much time on the Friday night stage, it definitely was. Going into Saturday, I knew that I went into Saturday thinking that I want to build back time on the other female competitors in my class. I knew losing so much time in the junior European against the boys in that class, it was going to be very hard to try and get that time back. So I went in with the goal of trying to claw away the time from the other female competitors. And with Saturday, we did a good job over it for the day, most of the day until the last stage. Again, we had an overshoot and we lost more time again there. But again, it just kind of made it more interesting and another target, another goal going into Sunday to keep fighting for that.
Am I right in thinking your target was Adrian Vogel? She was the leading two-wheel drive car female driver. You were 12 seconds behind her after the first day. Is that right?
Yeah. So after Saturday, yeah, we went into I think it was actually nearly more like 30 seconds going into Sunday, but we had. Yeah, I think she was the highest placed female in two-wheel drive category over Saturday and going into Sunday, so she was our target to try and beat her. And so yeah, we did. We worked away on it, and it was nice to have that competition in the rally as well. But yeah, it was on the last stage. We went in 1.4 seconds behind, so it was really nice to get that and just nip it on the last stage. So no, it was a good finish to the rally.
Yeah, and a great turnaround. I think, did you end up 6.9 seconds in front then after the final stage?
Yeah. I think I said to Ronan going into it, we're gonna go for it on this one, and we're gonna, yeah. And in fairness, Ronan knew as well going into it that we were gonna go for it. So it was nice to take it as by a few seconds as well.
And Ronan, you're part of the FIA Rally Stars Academy. Is obviously that's not just competing, it's also about training and learning and stuff. Are you already bringing stuff from that to sitting with Aoife, or how is that progressing?
For sure, Conor. You basically take advice from all corners that it's coming from and apply it in the correct manner to every driver that you sit with. Aoife has very good car control and very good understanding of how everything's happening, so it makes the crew and the crew but gel a bit better, and we can we're both on the same wave page and we know what we're doing, and it just makes it a lot easier than if you were doing something and you were trying to make something work but somebody wasn't understanding. So for sure, yeah, you take all the information that you get and apply it in every rally in the best possible way wherever you find yourself.
And the next event you're scheduled for is Rally Cardigan, part of the BRC. So has preparation started for that already?
Yeah, we're just starting into it now. I suppose we're taking each rally as it comes to and focusing, giving each rally our best attention. So yeah, the main focus is on that next.
And Ronan, you've sat with Joseph Kelly, Nala Sullivan, Abdullah Al-Taraki and Aoife this year. What's it like jumping in and out of rally cars and adjusting to different personalities, different techniques, different ways of doing everything? How do you find that?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is I've been used to 6 fastest with the previous 3 drivers, and then Aoife obviously uses 1 fastest. So switching around the pace note styles with Aoife and understanding her language and how she writes everything is becoming a lot more clear. It's something I wasn't used to, but something I did understand. So I'd say that would be one of the biggest problems, but not a problem. Sorry, it would be a biggest thing you have to focus on more so. But yeah, listen, it's been all similar machinery. We're in the Rally 3 Fiesta, and then we're in the 208 Rally 4s, which Joe and Niall has drove as well. So the machinery isn't different. It's just adapting to the driver and how they like things called and pace notes and how they write their pace notes and different things. We've myself and Aoife, we done a bit of a day together and to learn each other a bit more and to learn how the pace notes should be wrote and what different meanings are. So it was previous to barroom, so that helped us a lot going into the barroom as well. And during the rally, it all became a lot more clear. So it's unbelievable how the slight wee things can sort of make it that more challenging for you. But no, everything's pretty much similar. It's just about how you adapt to it all.
And Aoife, a similar question to you. You've sat this year with Grace O'Brien, Shirley McBride, Claire Williams, even Barney Mitch. So kind of what have you picked up from them? How have you adjusted? Is there little nuggets that you learn from each of the different co-drivers?
Yeah, like 100%. It's also like, I know it's important to try and build a relationship with the co-driver, but it's also quite hard to get someone who is also like wanting to commit to the level, especially at the European level. It's quite like it takes up a lot of time, and I think the amount of effort that's actually put in isn't quite realized until you go to these events. So it's just been a combination of getting someone with experience and the wantingness to compete at this level. But when you look at having different co-drivers and they all have their own experiences, so sometimes they can definitely bring a piece of advice or just a tip that they've had from sitting with another driver, and yeah, it can be a really good help as well.
So Aoife, and again, you're competing at home, you're competing abroad. It's a combination of both for you this year to get as much experience. But I'm sure that's expensive as well, and very important to have sponsors on board, and ensuring the sponsors see value from what they're giving you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like the budget, it's quite expensive to do the championship abroad and to compete at home, but it is like without the sponsors it wouldn't be possible either. So like it's also really important to thank them. Like we've got O'Neill O'Malley Architecture, Des Lyons Plant, Sean Flangley Motors, Airtech, and Lockray Auto Parts have been on board since the very beginning. So it's really nice to have them on board, because like without them it wouldn't be possible to do these rallies. And I think as well it's really nice to see that before events or during them and after that they're getting shown in especially articles around Galway. See them on the car as well, and that'll be on ERC Live. So it's pretty cool to be able to go back after the events and to show them where their brand has been shown.
And Ronan, I suppose most people automatically just think of the driver when it comes to sponsorship and stuff, etc. But there's a lot of costs involved for co-drivers.
There is, for sure, yeah, and you just work it out as you go along, in fairness, and pick up what you need to pick up. But just a special mention to Philip Case, Rally Sport, and all the team of mechanics there, because they do a fantastic job with us over the weekend. Working with us and making sure the car is perfect, and also the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy, as we keep mentioning. They do a faultless job, and their enthusiasm and everything that they put into and the work effort they put in just makes us want to do that bit better and push us on a lot more. So but yeah, for me, I would just like to thank them too, because especially in Barra, I got a completely different insight into how everything works with the team and everything that was going on. So yeah, a huge credit to them all, and thank you very much for it, and especially Aoife for asking me to do it, of course.
No problem. Thanks for sitting in. And yeah, just to back up what Ronan said, like thanks to the whole team there at the rallies, because everyone puts it, the effort levels is absolutely serious. And I don't think sometimes they get enough credit for the amount of work that's actually put in behind the scenes. So it's thanks to them as well. It's incredible.
So thanks very much there to Hayden, Aoife and Ronan, and best of luck to Aoife and Ronan now in the Rally Cardigan now in the next few weeks. Before we go, actually, can we just take a wee, Sean Craig there from Cookstown Motor Club dropped me a wee message. We were speaking up at the Ulster Rally, and they'd asked me to give a shout out to their Targa Rally. It's coming up now in the 9th of September. It's going to be a very exciting, mostly asphalt and a wee bit of gravel there, good smooth test. So, get your entries in there. I think the details are all up on Cookstown Motor Club, or I'm sure they'll be on Rally Score as well too. So get on that there. The Targa Rally now has become a huge thing in Northern Ireland, and it always attracts a top class entry. So get your entries in early to avoid any disappointment. We spoke to Crawford Henderson last week about Dava, and they have, I think, 45, 46 crews starting there on Sunday. It's a top class entry. There's the cream of Irish gravels there. You've all the names that you want to see, and it's going to be epic to watch, I would say. And nice to see Patrick O'Brien coming back and doing the event in the Skoda as well too. So he'll be bringing his ERC and WRC experience to David at the weekend. So best of luck to all involved there. So that is season 2, episode 25. And can you please like, share, rate, subscribe, comment, all those things? Be gratefully appreciated as always. Keep doing what you're doing, and until next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.